In a small, forgotten corner of the city, nestled between modern glass giants, lived Elias. His world was one of gears and springs, a universe contained within the walls of his cluttered workshop. Dust motes danced in the slivers of sunlight, illuminating a lifetime dedicated to a single obsession: time. To Elias, time wasn't just a measurement. It was a living, breathing entity he sought to understand, to capture, to tame. His fingers, gnarled by age but steady as a pendulum swing, moved with practiced grace, meticulously assembling a timepiece of impossible complexity. Each click was a heartbeat, each turn of a screw a verse in his silent, lifelong poem. One rainy Tuesday, while rummaging through a box of forgotten parts acquired from an estate sale, his fingers brushed against cold, unfamiliar metal. It was a pocket watch, ancient and heavy, its silver casing etched with symbols that seemed to writhe and shift under the dim workshop light. It had no winder, no obvious way to set the hands, yet, as Elias held it, the watch pulsed with a faint inner warmth. He fiddled with a small, almost hidden stud on its side. With a soft click, the world around him seemed to thicken. The frantic ticking of 100 clocks on his walls slowed to a deep, resonant thrum. The dust motes, once dancing, now drifted with languid elegance. Elias looked at his own hands, moving them through the air, feeling a strange resistance as if wading through honey. He had slowed time itself. A grin, the first genuine smile in years, spread across his face. The next few days were a blur of delightful experiments. A perfectly brewed cup of tea, its steam unfurling in a slow, hypnotic spiral for what felt like an hour. A sunset, its vibrant colors held captive in the sky, allowing him to savor every shade of crimson and gold. Life's simple pleasures, once fleeting, were now his to command, to extend, to luxuriate in. He felt a power he'd only dreamed of, a mastery over the very current he had spent his life trying to navigate. His newfound ability soon found more mischievous uses. During his weekly chess game with his old friend Arthur, he found himself in a losing position. Arthur, a man of quick wit and quicker moves, had him cornered. Under the table, Elias pressed the stud. The world slowed. He had all the time he needed to analyze the board, to see every possible move, every trap, every counterattack. When he released the button and made his move, Arthur blinked, astonished. "Elias, I didn't see that coming." Elias just smiled, the secret victory a warm glow in his chest. Game after game, he won, his triumphs built on stolen seconds, a secret he guarded jealously. But the wins felt hollow, the thrill tainted by the quiet hum of the watch in his pocket. He was no longer playing chess, he was simply cheating destiny. His ambition grew. Why just slow time? He discovered another function of the watch, a reverse spin of the crown that could rewind moments. A dropped gear, a spilled drink, a poorly chosen word all could be undone with a simple twist. He started reliving his happiest memories, rewinding a fond conversation with his late wife, her laughter echoing in the workshop only to have it fade again. The joy was fleeting, always followed by a sharper, deeper ache of loss. He became a ghost in his own life, perpetually revisiting a past he couldn't change and manipulating a present that no longer felt real. The workshop grew darker, the ticking of the clocks more erratic. Elias, hunched over the mystical watch, had become a tyrant of his own tiny timeline. One night, as he attempted to rewind an entire day, the watch flared with a blinding white light. The air grew cold and the cacophony of clocks fell silent. A figure coalesced from the shadows, not of flesh and blood, but of starlight and flowing energy. It was tall and ethereal, its form constantly shifting, a being woven from the very fabric of existence. "Elias," a voice echoed, not through the air, but inside his mind, a voice that was both the whisper of a breeze and the roar of a collapsing star. "You have played with forces you cannot comprehend." It was time itself. It wasn't angry in a human sense, but its presence radiated an immense, cosmic pressure, a profound sense of wrongness. "You disrupt the flow," the being communicated, its form shimmering with indignation. "You create ripples that become waves and waves that become storms." With a gesture, the walls of the workshop dissolved, replaced by visions. He saw a baker who, because Elias had slowed a moment to admire a bird, was a second too late pulling bread from the oven, causing it to burn and his family to go without their earnings for the day. He saw a young couple miss their train, a train they would have caught if not for Elias's temporal meddling, leading to a fight that would tear them apart. He saw the intricate, unseen web of causality, a delicate tapestry he had been tearing apart with his selfish desires. Every stolen second, every rewound mistake had a cost, paid by others in ways he could never have imagined. The world was a grand, complex clockwork, and he had been jamming its gears. The vision faded, leaving Elias trembling in his silent workshop. He looked at the pocket watch in his hand, its ethereal glow now seeming sinister, accusatory. He saw not a tool of power, but a source of chaos, a monument to his own arrogance. He had spent his life trying to master time, only to realize its beauty lay in its untamable nature. The joy was in the fleeting moment, the meaning in the irreversible choice. With a final, weary sigh, he held the watch out to the celestial being. "Take it," he whispered, his voice cracking. "I was wrong." Time extended a hand made of swirling nebulae and gently took the watch. As its fingers closed around it, the watch dissolved into motes of light that were absorbed into the being's form. The oppressive silence lifted, replaced by the familiar, comforting ticking of his many clocks, all beating in perfect, natural unison. The ethereal being gave a slow, deep nod, a gesture of cosmic approval, and then faded back into the shadows from which it came, leaving Elias alone. The next morning, sunlight streamed into the workshop, brighter than it had seemed in months. Elias sat by the window, a simple cup of tea in his hands, watching the world outside. He didn't try to slow the steam. He just watched it rise. He didn't try to prolong the sunrise. He just appreciated its beauty. He thought of Arthur and looked forward to their next game, a game he would likely lose, and the thought made him smile. He had finally learned the greatest lesson of his craft. A watchmaker doesn't control time, he simply honors its passage. And in that acceptance, in the gentle, unstoppable flow of each present moment, Elias found a peace more profound than any power he had ever held. He was no longer a master of time, but a willing, grateful participant in its beautiful, endless dance. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more.